In this video, we're going to be recreating the classic disappearing platforms that you might find in games like Mega Man or Super Mario Bros. Or one of my personal favorites, Monster Sanctuary. So in order to do this, I already have a test level built out, so you don't have to watch me create this. And I already have some project settings that are set up. I have in our window 640 by 360 with the window width override and height overrides at 1280 by 720. And then in the stretch mode, I'm on canvas items in the aspect of keep. And in my input map, I have A and D for my left and right and space for my jump. So that ties into my character script, where this is a relatively basic character script. We are going to come back here, but really just have your character be able to jump and move left and right. I do have some coyote jump stuff in here so that it's a little bit more forgiving on these disappearing platforms, but that's not totally necessary. In my main scene, I have my environment here, which is just my tile map, which my tile map is properly set up with collision layers. So we are going to have a collision layer. Collision layer 1 is going to be the blocks that we're going to use. I'm going to use this one on the bottom left, and we're going to mask on layer 2, which is our player layer. And then I also have a node, just a regular node that's going to house all of the breaking platforms that we're going to build today. So with all that set up in mind, let's actually start building out our breaking platform. So we're going to make a static body 2D. We can call this our breaking platform. And the only things we're going to need in here is a sprite and a collision shape. Inside of our sprite, we want to go to the texture, and we're going to do an atlas texture. We'll click into that. We can drag our tile set over, and we're just going to edit the region so that we are only selecting the bottom left tile, and we can close that out. Let's just save our scene here as well. And then let's create a collision shape, and we just want our collision shape to be a rectangle, and it's the same size as our platform. So I'm going to hold Alt here so it keeps the ratio correct and does both sides for me. And that's all we have to do inside of our scene setup, but we do need to now add a script to our breaking platform. So let's create this. I can get rid of all of this boilerplate code, and we're going to need onreadies for both of our sprite and collision shape. Let's just get rid of sprite or the underscore 2D from both, and then we're going to have two export variables here. We're going to have a variable for warning time, which is a float, and we'll do 0.5, and an export variable for our respawn time, which is another float, and I'll do 2 seconds here. So we are going to have our blocks flash a little warning color so that the player knows they're about to break. And then the 2 seconds is just when the blocks are going to come back into play. We're going to have a variable for is breaking, which is a bool, can default to false. And we're going to have another is broken variable, which again is a boolean that can default to false. We're going to have 4 methods here. So let's just get the boilerplate code out right now. So we're going to do a trigger break method. We're going to have a start warning method. We're going to have a break platform method. And lastly, we are going to have a respawn platform method. So up inside of our trigger break, we're just going to check if we're is breaking or if we're broken. We return. Otherwise, we're going to start our warning. In start warning, we're going to set is breaking equal to true. We're going to grab our sprite. We're going to modulate it. And we're going to do equal to a color. We're just going to do 1, 0.5, 0.5. We do an await on a get tree. We're going to create a timer on our warning time, timeout. Then we break our platform. Inside of break platform, we're going to check if it's already broken. Then we return. Then we do our is breaking. We go to false. Then is broken will be true. We are going to hide our sprite. Then we're going to get our collision shape. We're going to set deferred, disabled, and we're going to make it true. So we're going to temporarily disable our collision shape. So if the player jumps back into that area, they're not going to be on an invisible platform. Then we await on another timer. So let's get the tree, create a timer. We'll do our respawn time and then timeout. And then we will respawn our platform. In respawn platform, we do is broken equal to false. We want to show our sprite. We're going to reset the modulate on our sprite also. So we're just going to go back to the color of 1 across the board. And we collision shape, we set deferred on disabled, and then we mark it as false. Okay, so now that we have that, we need to actually connect this to our player script. So let's head back to that script, and we're going to add something right after move and slide. So we need to check for a collision with one of our platforms. So we're going to see if we're on the floor. Let me add some more space here. We are going to first for I in get slide collision count. We're going to get the collision, which is going to be equal to get slide collision. Then we're going to get the collider, and we're going to get collision dot get collider. And then if our collider is a static body 2D and the collider has a method of trigger break, which is the method that we just made, we are going to get our collider and we're going to trigger break. So that's how our platforms are going to know to actually start breaking. Okay, yep, in get slide collision, we need to pass in the index there. So that was the one thing that I forgot. That's why we're doing this for loop to begin with. So let's head back to our main scene. And let's go in and actually place some blocks here. So let's grab our breaking platform. I'm going to put one here. Let's pop it inside of our breaking platforms node. And I'm going to drag another one right next to it. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, a little bit higher. And right there. Okay, so let's save this. And now let's run the scene. All right, so now you see it starts to turn another color when I step on them, and then they come back. So this is really basic, and if this is all you need, feel free to check out right now. But if you stick around, I'm going to add some particle effects to this, so we actually have a little bit more interesting of a platform break. So we need to go back to our breaking platform script, and we're going to create 3 new variables. We're going to have a variable for our break particles, which are going to be of GPU particles 2D. We're going to have a variable for our warning particles, which again is a GPU particles 2D, and then a platform color, which is a color, and we're going to just add a purple color that is similar to the color of our blocks. So it's going to be 0.5, 0.2, and 0.5 again. Then we are going to need to add a ready method. We're not going to do anything right here currently, but then we're going to do a setup particles method. And let's just put a pass for right now. We're going to set up all these GPU particles in code. You can try and do this in the editor as well. I'm going to end up just copy and pasting in a lot of code, so feel free to grab it from the GitHub repository. It's just going to be a lot of repetitive code, so I just want to copy and paste this in so you can see the final result. But before we do that, we can add some additional things into our other methods here. So after we go modulate inside of start warning, we're going to create a tween. So let's create a variable for tween. Let's create a tween. And we are going to do a tween property on our sprite. We're going to modulate color 1, 0.5, 0.5, comma, 0.1. Then right after that, we're going to go get our warning particles. We're going to set emitting equal to true. Then inside of our break platform, before we hide, we want to get our warning particles and set emitting to false. After we set deferred, we're going to get our warning particles again and change emitting back to true. And in Respawn Platform, we're going to do a little bit of things where we change stuff around. So let's cut out the modulate. Everything else can stay as is up here. Let's bring the modulate down a line. Then we need to create another tween. So we're going to have a little fade in effect for our new blocks. And then we're going to do a tween property on our sprite. We are going to modulate. We're going to give it a color of all ones and then 0.2. So now we have all of the basic setup here. So let me copy and paste in the setup particles code. It's going to have some comments in it as well, explaining exactly what we're doing. So the first thing we're doing is we're setting up our break particles. Then we need to create a particle texture, which ours is going to be the platform color of purple. Then we set some properties on the break particles, and then we do the same thing for our warning particles. So feel free to pause the video if you want to copy this in or grab them from the GitHub repo link in the description. And then in order to put this all together in our ready, we just need to set up our particles. So let's go ahead and play this. And let's see this in action. So now when I jump on the particles, you see that they kind of start having some effect in the middle. They aren't going away though, so something is a little off with our particles here. Oh, okay. So the modulate here needs to be 0. And I have a typo here on disabled. And our warning particles dot emitting should actually be our breaking particles. Break particles, sorry. So now when we play this, it should be all fixed now. There we go. A little bit more of we have a little warning particles, and then they actually explode out. So hopefully this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions or any other mechanics that you want me to cover in the comments.